All right, we're live. It's the Mindstate Marketing Hour with Will Leach. He's our favorite scientist. In the Mindstate Marketing Hour today, guess what the topic is? Well, 4 insider secrets to to being selected to speak at a conference. I need to take some tips here. Will, how are you?
I am doing great there, Steve. I'm back from my vacation out in the woods. I had no internet at all last week, no texting, no phone calls. I was out in the woods, my man, with the family, by the way.
Out in the
So it
woods
was
with
great.
the fam. Good.
Yep.
Good. So what did you learn out there in the woods?
You know, this was the first time I went to a family retreat. You ever did one of these things where you bring your whole family out? Yeah.
Yeah, I
So I
did
go to
that.
this property.
I want to tell you, my brother, we have hot dogs the night around the campfire. Then he wakes up in the middle of the night and he's like complaining about his stomach's hurting, and I'm just telling him, "Be quiet. You just ate too many hot dogs." And turns out he had appendicitis, Mr. Drama Queen.
My brother had that something similar on vacation. We just ignored it. He's like, just take some Pepto. And he had appendicitis. 3 days later, he was in the hospital. We let him ride it out in pain for 3 days before the family finally took him over to the hospital. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was good, man. It was one of these places where you go there as a family, and every night they have activities for the family. We did like family game night and family Olympics, and we had we had a night where we got rid of the boy and then just went on a date night. And then we had another night where we had like a disco where you haven't done these silent discos where you have like a headphones on, and you take off the headphones, everyone's singing, and like with there's no music, you can't hear anything, people are singing, dancing with the boy. It was good. Brought back an amazing amount of memories, brought back all these great experiences. And I also brought back something else, Steve.
I can hear it in your voice.
I brought back the COVID. I After all that whole thing, man, something was off on last Thursday, and I just kind of, maybe it's okay. And I came back on Saturday night and I tested positive, and I'm still positive, man. I feel okay. I mean, I don't feel okay. I feel like I have a bad cold, but I can't get rid of it, man. It loves me. COVID loves this body.
So you need to drink some Alka-Seltzer Gold.
I've heard of this now. The second time I've heard of this, I'm basically doing what you're not supposed to do, which is I ignore it. I take some Robitussin if I cough too much. You're right. I got to do something different, man, because it's 1 week. It's still on me. Alka-Seltzer Gold. Is that it?
Yeah, so one of my clients, he's a wellness physician, Dr. Chris Wusterhausen.
Oh,
And one of the things he recommends is that you just take some Alka-Seltzer Gold.
yep.
And so it doesn't have the aspirin in it, but it's basically baking soda.
Okay.
And so your body over time becomes acidic,
Yep.
and this helps you bring it back to alkaline. And guess what? The COVID doesn't like inside your cell, an alkaline environment.
Nice.
Yes.
Anything at this point, I'll do. I will do it. So I will do that this afternoon, as a matter of fact. So next week or the week next time we do the show, I'll give you the update. Hopefully it's kicked off by then. But yeah, I'm still here doing. We're professionals. We do the show rain or shine. Well, most of the time,
That's
rain or
showbiz,
shine.
right?
If I'm in the woods, I'll do it. And so I'm here. So just bear with the voice, everybody.
So it's the Mindstate Marketing Hour, how to use science with your clients with Will Leach. And he's got this book that has a new look. And if you hadn't read this book with the new look, Marketing to Mind States, then guess what? If you're trying to do marketing messaging and you haven't read his book, then your marketing messaging is one size fits all. And like I always say, if you had to go and eat at a restaurant and they just served you the same thing that everyone's, how would that make you feel? You don't get to choose.
Don't feel very special, do you, Steve?
No, you feel like it's a cafeteria like in prison or something, right? Right?
Yeah, it is
And
like
that's,
prison. It is. Don't put your
yeah,
customers in prison.
no. And so don't even do that to your prospects. Alejandro's coming in.
All right.
Says,
Good to see Alejandro. Very nice to see you again. Big
but
news. In fact, Alejandro is a part of today's discussion, whether he knew it or not. I'm going to bring him in. Yep.
I hope it's good. But back to Will's book. You need to craft your messaging to fit the state of mind that folks are in when they're considering your product or service as a potential solution for the problem they're trying to solve. And it's a beautiful book. Turn some light bulbs on for me. Here, a couple of years later, look where I am. I get to talk with Will Leach all the time about this stuff. And so today's topic, Will, insider secrets to getting selected to speak at any conference. What's the backstory? Let's start with that.
Well, for the last couple of years, going to speak at a conference has become almost impossible because we weren't doing in-person conferences. Now, for me personally, my business and the number one marketing kind of channel I have is speaking on stage. And so when I get up on stage and I get to have an hour, a half hour, 10 minutes, whatever they're going to give me, I can usually speak with passion and I have some authority because I'm up on a stage, and I usually win some clients. Even if they don't come immediately, they remember you on stage. So for many of you guys out there, you know that conferences allow you to meet brand new people you've never met before. But almost more importantly, if you are speaking on a stage, it provides authority and it gives you unadulterated access to people's minds, if you can keep their attention, that is, on your message and why they should be working with you. So I don't, everyone has different styles of presentation and presenting things. I'm not here to talk about that. What I do know, though, I know a little bit about a little something about conferences. One, because I speak at conferences all over the world. And that's partially because of my book. But frankly, I was speaking at conferences long before I published my book because of these secrets I'm going to tell you about. And now behind the scenes, I'm actively working behind the scenes for certain conferences and conference organizers. And now I know kind of behind the scenes what's important to these organizers. How do you get selected? How do you differentiate yourself? So I thought, you know what? If you've ever been, wanting to get on stage, then I want to tell you how I personally have gotten on stage by using some of these techniques, and behind the scenes, what organizers are thinking about when they're making decisions around who they're going to put on stage. So figured this would be good, get you on stage, make you some money.
Well, let's do that. I've always been scared to get on stage. Did you have to practice? Did you get someone to come and polish you? Is that one of the topics we're going to cover? Am I just blowing your whole thing here?
No, we're not going to talk about that, as a matter of fact, because I'm assuming that if you want to get on stage, you feel relatively comfortable. And that's actually not necessarily true. I will say this, and I've told this to you personally. I've told many people this for sure, that I am naturally a bit recluse, introverted, but when I get on stage, Steve, Gandalf comes out, Chuckles comes out, because I love the topic I'm speaking on. So I found that if I love the topic I'm speaking about, I don't need to be well polished. I don't, in fact, and sometimes I think that maybe hurts me a little bit. I naturally just wanted to go and talk about my message. So I'm not scared to speak on stage. I'll speak to 2,000, 10,000 people like that about my topic. You ask, if you get me on there, that's right, Alejandro. But if you ask me to go talk about my cooking on stage to 4 people, I'm off the stage. I can't stand it. I don't know what I'm doing. I hate it.
You get sweaty underarms and everything.
Totally. All the sweat's coming down the pores, stuff like that.
All right. So number one, do some research. Know the conference inside and out.
That's right. So imagine in today's world, especially where, people have access to the internet and it's very easy to travel the world and get to any conference you want to go to. It's really critical for you to stand out if you're going to submit a proposal to a conference of any kind. So one of the best ways you can do that is to actually do some research. And what I mean on research is not something just so basic as, well, let me go to the conference website and, I think I fit there. Digital marketing. I know a little bit about digital marketing. Let me go submit. When you do that, you are just like the 90% of people out there that say, yeah, I know a little bit about digital marketing. I really want to speak. I want to get my job out there. I want to get my company out there. So let me go ahead and put out there. What I would tell you is that is very superficial. And those types of applications are seen immediately if you don't understand the background of the conference. So for instance, here's what I'll do. I will actually go multiple years back to a conference. So if I know that the conference I'm trying to speak at is from 2023, I'll look at the 2022 version. Hopefully it's there. the 2021, and maybe even the 2020. Here's what I'm really looking for. I want to see patterns in the speaker lineup. So if they tend to have 4 big speakers that command high dollar, maybe these are stars, comedians sometimes, or these are business executives, and then they have a lot of other smaller companies you may have never heard of or speakers you never heard of. I understand what they're trying to do. What they're trying to do is use big names and give them lots of featured publicity, lots of featured time on stage, and they need fillers. That's what they're really doing. They know that you, the smaller person, are not going to be able to bring in hundreds of people to come watch your session. So I realize that, and I kind of position myself as, okay, how could I help integrate myself into the broader topic of maybe what speakers have talked about in the past? So I'll look at those speakers, or other times I'll notice things like this. Imagine this, that they only have speaking slots for 20 minutes or 10 minutes. I've seen conferences with 10-minute speaking slots. So if I don't know that before I submit my application, I submit a workshop application, or I talk about a 30-minute, or I give you like the 10 points everybody needs to know about digital marketing, but there's only 10 minutes. It's very clear you don't understand that the conference has very limited time. So small little things like that, knowing it inside and out, knowing whether they have different tracks is also important. So sometimes if you go and you'll see a track on, in my field, marketing research, you maybe feel a track on marketing, another track or series of presentations around organizational behavior. If I know those tracks beforehand, I can customize my application again to one of those tracks. So it sounds small, but you have to be able to look and try to really figure out how do you fit in and be very differentiated. So you're only going to know that if you do a little bit of research. It takes a half hour to go back multiple years. And the last thing I would tell you is this: not only do I look to see for patterns that are common, the other thing I do is look for something that they tried maybe in 2020 or 2021 and it fizzled, it died. Great example is this, where you may have seen in 2020, it's just happened recently. In 2020, they were doing a lot of panels, which meant put a bunch of executives onto a stage and then talk to them and let them talk. If the next year they do no panels, you can know probably that the panels didn't work. They didn't get a very good satisfaction score later on. Therefore, in 2021, I'm not going to present a panel probably, because I'm like, you know what? I saw them do it one year. The next year they did none. Therefore, I'm not going to pitch this idea that I'm going to get up and hold a Q&A with executives, because obviously it didn't work. And so it disadvantages me. So not only look for things that they see every year, look for some things that looked really big at one point and now they no longer do. And you could steer your application away from those types of sessions.
Man, that's smart. I'm, when you think you're approaching as, let's talk about the first time you spoke.
Mhm.
This what you're telling us about, what you were oblivious to or weren't in tune to. What triggered this insight?
Yeah. The thing of what not to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was actually being denied 3 times in a row to conferences. Now I was young. I didn't know. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't have a book or whatever, but here's what I'll tell you. What I noticed is that I was speaking to, here's this idea I have. Let me share that idea. Conference organizers do not care about your idea. They have their own objectives. They have their own story. They have their own experience they're trying to communicate. And so if you don't understand that, then you're just trying to say, here's what I can do. Get me on stage. Here's what I can say. That's not very effective. It's just like marketing. If you don't understand your customer, how could you possibly create a product and message appropriately? So that's how I figured it out. Because I'm like, stop thinking about what I want to say. Look at that conference and see what point of view can I add to what they're trying to accomplish.
Wow, that's excellent.
Yeah.
All right, so this is what I would have guessed. You need to introduce yourself to organizers and offer to help however you can.
Yeah. Now that I'm behind the scenes a little bit more, I notice I now know that it's really important to do this first thing, which is understand what any conference is trying to do. A conference is not trying to get the coolest speakers in the world to come to their conference. They're not really trying to do that. I mean, it's kind of an outcome they hope for, but that's not what they're trying to do. Their number one goal is to increase attendance. Because if you don't have a sizable number of people to sign up for those tickets, then the conference doesn't have the financial resources to continue. So they have to increase attendance, and they think about this a year before they ever even think about the agenda. They're going, how do we know we're going to get people here? How do we know we're going to get people here? So here's what I do. I will always try somehow to find a conference organizer. And they're really clear. It's pretty hard to find them, frankly. They're pretty hard. But what they will do, or what I will do, is I will find some kind of coordinator. Once on that website, you'll usually like, do you want to speak at this conference? I'll find that person very quickly. And rather than saying like, I'd like to submit an application, I'll just literally say, how can I help you find a speaker? Or how can I help you find a sponsor? Those are the things that they're most worried about. They need sponsors who are going to basically pay them fees so that, to put up a booth, to sponsor the event. That's their number one goal, just to be profitable. And after that, do they have the right speakers, or enough speakers, by the way, to where they can fill out an agenda and bring people in? So I don't talk about me at all. All I do is I say, hey, if you can help me understand a little bit more about what types of speakers you're looking for, or maybe companies that you need to sponsor, maybe I can help. I may not be able to help. And in fact, frankly, only a few times have I ever really been able to help in that space. But what I will say is that makes me be very actively trying to help them, as opposed to like, let me know if I can help you. That's not very helpful. What is helpful is, let me know if I can help you find a sponsor. What types of companies are you looking for? And if there's a speaker that maybe I have a contact with, what types of speakers are you looking for? Not me, somebody else. And because of that, I think that helps really makes you look like a helper, and you're not trying to be kind of self-promoting. And so here's one thing I did one time. And in this space, I asked a conference, how can I help? And I asked, and they said, we're looking for speakers. Are you looking to sponsor? I said, I can't do the sponsor. But here's what I did do is we got into a conversation very briefly, and I found out that they wanted to do an event the night before the conference. And I said, would you need anybody to host that event? And here's what I put together. They're like, well, we're just trying to bring some like a happy hour. I said, you know what I could do to make it a little bit better? What if I did a book review? And I basically said, I'll have a conversation. I'll get up, I'll have a conversation about a book, and we'll just see, if people are interested in learning more about that book. So they thought that's kind of interesting. That's new. That's different. It got some more excitement, hopefully brings in, a sponsor maybe by doing that, or maybe it helps bring up increased attendance. So what I did was I just went to the restaurant where they did the happy hour, and I tapped the glass, got everybody's attention. And for a half hour, I talked about one of my favorite books, and I answered questions on that, but I kind of facilitated a discussion, something they weren't looking for, something they didn't have to pay me to do. But because of that, I was given a free ticket. I didn't speak at that event, by the way, that year. The next year I did speak at that event. So I just volunteered my time. In that case, I tapped my glass. I had a quick half hour, discussion about a book. And then a year later, it paid off for me. So imagine how to get people in the seats and say that you will help them in any way you can. That's the first way to differentiate yourself.
Awesome. That's some great stuff. So we're talking today about insider secrets. I can say it. Insider secrets to get selected to speak at any conference. 2 really excellent tips. Well, that was very creative to do the book review at wherever the happy hour is, and you didn't have to like pay $600. You didn't have to do anything. And so was it my book that you reviewed?
I'm going to tell you, it's a little early before you even wrote your book, my friend. This was back in 2013, as a matter of fact, 2013.
Number 3, imagine their pains and provide an early solution. This means that you have to care. You have to be thinking about them and not yourself.
You may have to do that. I'm telling you. So this is their true behind the scenes. So I'm now helping conferences when I can. And think about it this way. Early on, they want to feel very confident that they're going to get people into chairs, they're going to get their sponsorships, etc. Now, imagine about 3 months before any big conference, they've kind of nailed that out. They're not waiting till the last minute. They've got that covered. So at that point, if you haven't been selected and you know the conference is 2 months out, you're probably not getting selected. In fact, I'm telling you, you're not going to get selected. It's too late. They've already set up the agenda. Even if it's not online, they already know exactly who they're going to put in there. They may have 1 or 2 slots, but they're waiting for somebody else to pay for that slot, etc. However, their next scary thing happens. Once they have that agenda in the back of their minds, they're thinking about logistics. The conference organizer are like, well, what happens if somebody drops at the last minute? Like, what do we do? Or what happens if or how are we going to host a session? They may have speakers, but they may have a limited number of people that work at the organization. So let's say if you're going to do a panel, well, they may be thinking, well, we have our executives who are going to be on the panel, but do we have somebody who's going to host it? So they're starting to think through that stuff, the logistics of everything. So imagine the possible pain points that could happen behind the scenes, and then go to them and say, I may have an early solution if you need it. Let me tell you the easiest thing I've done. I've gotten into 3 conferences, no lie, by doing this. Was not selected to a conference to speak, but I wrote, because I'd already established this relationship, and I said, hey, want to let you know, I will have a presentation ready. If you need me, even if it was the night before, I'll be ready for a presentation. Just let me know. Like, that's all I did. 3 times I've been called about a month before. One time the night before, when I was at the hotel, they said, we have a slot. Somebody got sick, or they didn't really tell me the details. Can you step in? I said, no problem. I can certainly step in. That takes so much worry off of, because I'm behind the scenes now, and we're so terrified of a corporate reorganization where a speaker was going to come, or a flight delay. And do we have any backup plan? If you go to the organizers and say, just want to let you know, I'm your backup plan. I'll be ready. If you need me, here's my cell phone number. I'll have it all ready. If not, I can't wait to meet you guys anyways. 3 conferences I've gotten in because I just said that I will be ready with a presentation if they need it. So I think about that. How can you help behind the scenes, help something run smoothly? The other thing I've hosted is a panel where they forgot literally that they needed probably somebody with a microphone to ask the questions of a panel. I was there. They knew they could count on me because I told them I'll be there available 2 nights before. Will, is there any possibility you could just step in? It's like, sure, give me the questions. I'll be an MC. That's cool. Get me on stage. I didn't get to speak what I wanted to speak about, but I was on stage as an authority. And little did I realize the next year I was able to speak at that conference. So help them run things smoothly. Even though it means volunteer, go there on your own dollar or whatever. And it will maybe don't get in there that day or that conference, but they'll remember that you were available, and maybe it'll work out like it did for me a couple of times.
That's really smart.
3 times, my friend. 3 times.
3 times you were smart.
People cancel all the time. People cancel all the time. They think it's like no big deal. Like, if they realize behind the scenes the anxiety that happens when all of a sudden, like, somebody goes, oh, you know what? My VP has a really big meeting. I can't meet anymore, because they were marketing that executive. It happens all the time. They've been marketing that person. They had a slot filled out. They promised, hey, you're going to meet you're going to see the head of insights at Google or whatever. And they promised it on collateral and marketing because they're using those names to bring people to the conference. And when those executives say no, they are terrified. And they're like, how do we fill that slot? If you're that solution, let them know early on, you're in. Awesome
Stuff. Okay, so send a video proposal to stand out from the rest.
Yeah, heck, you know this better than I think most people, right, Steve? Is that video talks. I think there's still a lot of conferences that they make you fill out forms. They make you kind of maybe they're web-based forms, maybe they're literally email applications you send in or whatever. In the last couple of years, what I've learned across any kind of customer touch point is that video rules. Somebody being able to see your face, your kind of your mannerisms, your professionalism, it really helps you kind of differentiate yourself, stand out from the crowd, and it helps them bring confidence to who you are. So behind the scenes, we get applications, sometimes 100 applications. And if it's a sheet of paper, you don't know necessarily. What'll happen is you'll have a couple of speakers. You're like, wow, we want them. We know them. We've heard them. They have a big name behind them. Let's go with those people. But then there are about 2/3 of applications that look basically the same. this person's a director at this company, this person's a director at this company, this person runs this agency, this other person runs an agency. You don't really know if they're going to be good on stage. And one of the fears is that when you have bad speakers on stage, that you get bad satisfaction scores. And then all of a sudden the next year, it's really hard to bring in attendees because they heard your conference isn't so great. So I can tell you that even if there is no video, application ask, send a quick video. Just say, hey, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Will Leach. So excited to be able to, I'm going to be sending you an application here in the next couple of hours here. But I just want to tell you a little bit about myself, my idea that I have on how I can bring some great value to the conference. And then just spell out your idea in like 3 bullet points. This is so important because I then look out for your application because behind the scenes, like I got this video, this is awesome, got this video behind the scenes, and I know your application's coming, but if you do it well, you create confidence. Like I know I can count on you. You look professional. You look like, you're well-spoken or you can present pretty well. But what I would tell you is that we got one a couple of weeks ago that was about 7 minutes long. I'm telling, and I feel so bad, but we went through about 45 seconds of it. And then we stopped because I don't know what you're going to say for 7 minutes. So yes, the video was impactful and then I opened it up. Thank you, Whitney. That's right. But what I did not do is follow the entire video. So keep your video up to about a minute because really all you're trying to do is stand out, differentiate yourself a little bit. Then when that application come, I'm like, oh my gosh, because here's what we do behind the scenes. We meet every week and we talk about all the submissions we got and we all kind of rank them out. Hey, I really thought that these 3 popped. But if you have a video, I'm telling you, you're going to be one of those 3 that pops. So you're in the consideration set. If you're just one of another 17 applications that came in that week, you have a high likelihood of being in the middle. You're not probably going to be bad, but you may not be great. And because of that, you're in the middle. And if you're in the middle, you're dead at a conference because they're only looking for the best because they have to sit seats. They have to sell seats or whatever. So do what you can to get a video. So what we use is Vidyard. You taught me about Vidyard, right? Mm-hmm. Steve, some of the very early things you ever did to me was you sent me a video. Vidyard is a very simple tool, guys. Download it. And you could send a super simple video, record it right from your laptop, goes right into Outlook, send it along with your email. All you have to do as the reviewer or the receiver of the email is press a button. I don't have to download anything. All of a sudden, boom, a video pops up. It's super easy. It's great for business anyways. But if you're going to send an application or even before you send that application, send that person a video. And it's going to make a world of difference of kind of differentiating you from others.
These are excellent points on what to do, Will, but tell us, give me 3 don'ts.
Oh my gosh, you put me on the spot. The first don't I will say, because I know that this has hurt me before, is you may be sitting out there with a canned presentation, meaning it's like a stump speech for a politician. You have your talk points, you have your 12-page deck, and basically what you try to do is take that 12-page deck or whatever it is, that presentation you've used a year ago or you've used for a while, and force fit that into a conference. Does it work? Sometimes it works because the conference doesn't really know you or whatever. I will say that if you try to start with yourself and what you want to speak about and push that into a conference, it's likely that it's going to feel self-serving. So don't do that. The second thing you don't ever want to do is, and this happens a lot at conferences, unfortunately, is present or send an application that basically shows that you're going to try to sell your services on stage. Now, I know we don't always try to we don't try to say, here are the 5 reasons why you should hire Trigger Point or Mindstate Group, and here's what I want to present. That's not the case. But what we do is this, and it's subtle, but conference organizers understand what you're doing. They'll say, we'd like to talk about a case study we did where we were able to increase penetration of our brand by 10%, and we're going to bring Coca-Cola on stage with us. Now, that's a bit appealing because, yeah, you have Coca-Cola and maybe get you on stage. What the people behind the scenes are thinking is all this person's going to do is get up on stage and talk about themselves. And conferences that have people on stage that talk about themselves, their companies, and how great they are, they get low satisfaction scores. They just do. The attendees get bored of it. They're like, all this person is selling to me for a half hour about how great they are. So when you talk about things that where your company has helped another company do something amazing, don't be surprised if you don't get selected, because it's actually self-serving. They know you're going to go up on stage, or they think you're going to go up on stage and sell yourself. A better thing to do is say 5 things any company can do to increase penetration of their brand, whatever, because that feels a little more visionary out there. You're going to bring your expertise. You're not going to talk about what I did to help another brand. So it feels less salesy. And then the third one is this. I don't know if this happens a lot. I go to a lot of marketing research conferences, and we see the same people do the exact same deck at different conferences. And you'd be surprised, even though these conferences, one's in Toronto and one's in Milwaukee and then one's in Charlotte, a lot of the same people go to the same conferences. And if you use the same deck and just change the logo out or whatever, people know. And what happens is conference organizers talk a lot. I didn't know this until like 2 years ago, but behind the scenes, they talk like, hey, we got an application from Steve. What do you know about Steve? Steve always uses the same old deck that he brings all the time about this his little point of view. So don't do that. You may get away with it once or twice. Very quickly, it becomes stale, and people know that you just repurpose the exact same deck, and they want new, they want exciting. The conference organizers do. So be careful about that.
I think a lot of people think that they're going to make money by, they really go after the speaking gig as a money maker.
Real hard to do, man. I didn't know that until I actually read a book. I forgot the name of the book, but in the first chapter of the book, it starts off by saying, here's the only way you will make money by being a professional speaker. And there's all these, like, it was almost like a do-it-yourself adventure, choose your own adventure. And very quickly you realize, and this guy was like, if you're at this point and you've reached this score, you should stop reading my book. It was so intense, because it was like, you're not going to be a good paid speaker. You're not going to make it. So I remember thinking, wow, there is some money, but man, don't think you're going to be, it's very difficult to be somebody who makes money as a paid speaker at these things. Very important. What it does though, right, Steve? It gets you on stage so that somebody in the future may remember you and go, I really like what that guy said on stage, or I remember what she said. That was so appealing. That was so interesting. I'm going to go find them and look them up. So that's why you're on stage. Don't think about speaking fees. In fact, I would make the case that sometimes, let's say if they say, we can pay you $500, I would suggest that you could give that $500 or $1,000 back to the organizers. They would probably think of this an amazing, generous thing, because if they're only giving you $1,000, they're probably on a very tight budget. If you gave that $1,000 back, I bet the goodwill that you'll receive because of that far outweighs $1,000. I mean, $1,000 won't cover airfare these days to most conferences. So give the money back. Your job is to be noticed on stage, man.
So good. Will,
do you speak very much? Do you get on stage very much, Steve?
So my speaking, here's the way I was looking at it. I started, like, my book came out right before everything hit the fan.
That's right.
So I was gearing up to start down that path. So what I did was started doing things like this with you. I just got to thinking, like, when you do a live stream, maybe, who knows how many's watching this right now. Okay.
Mhm.
It's not we don't have 10,000 people or 5,000 people, but it's sure a possibility that we could have a couple of thousand people at some point watch this.
Mhm.
It's the same thing. You're just not standing on stage at the moment. And so that's what I worked on. So yeah,
And here we are today.
And here we are today.
That's right.
And which is a beautiful segue that this podcast has been nominated by Little Bird Marketing as one of the top 10 podcasts of the year.
Yep.
And so you faithful listeners out there, you fans of Will, go to this website and vote for this podcast. And so it's info.littlebirdmarketing.com/Mr. MR podcast award and pick the Mindstate Marketing Hour, right?
Yep. We would really appreciate it. This is our second year of doing this, maybe, right, Steve?
Yeah.
We're getting a little bit better. I think we got a few fans, I hope. Anyways, but yeah, we're getting a little better, and it was really nice to be nominated. A lot of good podcasts out there. But if you do like what you hear, these types of things help. They help us kind of keep moving, keep pushing in the right direction. So that would be great if you could vote for us.
Normally have a couple of questions on this, but that's why I hit you with give me the 3 don'ts. So,
Yes.
Will, so what's next, brother? Hey, we had a great, if you missed last show,
Yeah.
we had a great conversation with Christian, and encourage you to go and look that up. A lot of good feedback on that.
We did. We had a lot. We've got a lot of downloads on that. Had a great conversation. Had a lot of laughing on that. Christian's a great guy. So yeah, on our next show, we are looking to bring in a new speaker. We can't have Christian every week, of course. So bring in a new speaker. We're leaning towards somebody who works in different cultures and hearing some fun, exciting stories about working with different cultures and what's the best kind of process to really connect with people that you don't really normally work with. So hopefully we'll get there pretty soon.
Well, as usual, this is a great conversation. I learned a lot. I like to say I'm one of the smartest people in marketing because why? Because I get to hang out and get to talk to Will on all these. Be sure to go and like and subscribe. I'm looking for a little outro that Kristen works on. So we have a podcast on Stitcher, Buzzsprout, Google Podcast, all those places. And also we have a YouTube channel. It's the Mindstate channel on YouTube. Like, subscribe, share with your friends, tell your neighbors as we grow this. Will's got a lot of good stuff to share.
Thank you. I appreciate that, sir. You do too. I bring you in. You got some good ideas. You're not just the eye candy.
Oh, shucks. Yeah, I'm not just eye candy. My mom told me a long time ago, Steve, it's going to take more than good looks to get by. And I thought to myself, oh, yeah, you watch. Yeah, yeah, she was right.
Little did we know. That's right. She was right. She was right.
A million times she was right. Will, good conversation. We'll see you next show on the Mindstate Marketing Hour. You good? Awkward smile as we end.
See everybody. Have a good week.
Bye. 2 thumbs up. Oh, I didn't hit the end yet.